Well, howdy. My name is Kat. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today marks the beginning of a new series that I'm going to be doing called Old Book Tour. I love old books. I love antiquarian books, if you will. Exhibit some images of some stacks of books that I have lying around my house currently. My dream one day would be to have just a beautiful room that is a library to hold all of my wonderful books. Have I read any of these books cover to cover? Probably not. Out of the old books, I don't think I've read any of them cover to cover. Maybe one. But I love so many things about antiquarian books. And so today we're going to just give a brief intro into why I love antiquarian books. And then we are going to go into my favorite antiquarian book, which is currently sitting, well, its home is right here in Pride of Place at my desk. And this is my favorite one. So I thought we'd start off with an absolute banger today. But if you don't know me, my name is Kat. I'm making videos on the YouTubes. I'm an artist, but I also have many other interests aside from strictly art. I paint, but I also sew. I made this. I also have started bead embroidery recently. I also just started bead crochet as well. And so I'm kind of just, I like to do anything that is fun and beautiful. And I like things that are fun and beautiful. And I think that antiquarian books are extremely fun and beautiful. And so I'm going to tell you today about why I love antiquarian books to begin with. Let's go. Okay, let's get real intimate for this. You see how I wore my glasses today because we're talking about books, so I thought I'd wear my glasses instead of my contacts so I would look smarter. Okay, first reason I love antiquarian books, mainly for me as an aesthetically minded individual. I just think they're so gorgeous, beautiful, pretty, stunning to look at. They often, they were making these books before they had like big neon colours and mass-produced inks and things, and so back in the day they just had a level of refinement and a care for the gorgeous and the beautiful. The class of these people is just so amazing. And so having, you don't normally only get to encounter the creations of the olden days in like a museum or a palace or a stately home or a really old-fashioned posh restaurant or something. But those aren't people's everyday. Those aren't very accessible to the average person. But for me, when I go into those kinds of a space, I'm like, wow, the past. This was amazing. This was wonderful. But I have to like leave my house and go to an establishment in order to access that kind of feeling. But antiquarian books, you can find them for so cheap these days. Yes, of course, there's a big trade of selling really, really expensive original copies of things. But I'm like, okay, but everyone knows about those ones. The magic of antiquarian books is that you can get something, well, I'll get into that point later about them being just special and rare. But this first point is that it's a way to get some snapshot of the beautiful past and the care that humans used to put into things, into your own hands and into your everyday life. It's accessible. It's like a little keepsake that you can have for your very own self. And so I just love how beautiful they are, how they remind me of the classiness and the values of high society back in the day. I love bookbinding. I just think it's such a beautiful craft. I especially love when the front pages have marbling inside it because it's such a it looks like such a modern effect, marbled paper, and yet it's so old-fashioned at the same time. And I just think the shape of a book is just so, like, the shape of an old book. This is like, okay, let's get a shape of a new book. This isn't super new. You know what I'm talking about when you, like, think of the new books that are just completely formless and void. They're just a cube. This one at least has, like, a really interesting cover texture. This is an old Collins gem French verbs tables, and you can just see by the little grain on the little strike underneath there and the combination of fonts and colors that this is kind of like a 1980s book, and it's gorgeous. Books from this time also gorgeous. It feels like quality. It's like a fabric. You see how it's kind of like a papyrus fabric that's been glossed over. Anyways, these are an example of a more modern book, but the old books with their classic structures. I mean, I guess I should just bring this out now. And it's underneath. Look, I got a candle. I love. Take care of yourself. Don't get down. Oh my gosh, I can't wait until the next episode. I'll show you the book that lies underneath this book. Okay, so, look at this book shape. How gorgeous. Don't look at where I've been a negligent owner, but look at the colour. Look at the detail within the cover even. Look how old this is. Oh my gosh, it's so old and beautiful. And the gold, and look at the back of this book. But just this shape of book, I'm just like, oh, it looks so good anywhere you place it. And so I'll often, I have a lot of these old books. I think they're really cool, the contents, but say that the contents is only interesting for a short period of time. You can just stack them on top of each other and do it in order of size. And so you go from big book down to smallest book, and then you can put a plant. Place a plant on top, or anything else that your heart desires. And it's just beautiful ways to add height and differentiation to your side tables, sideboards, shelves, anything, any presentation, really. They're just so useful. And this book shape. There's a reason why even in our emojis, when we type in book, it's not just the books that we see today, it's this kind of book that we're seeing in the emojis, because these are the books of history. These are the books, capital B. I can't explain it better than that. I'm sorry. I wish I could. If I'd maybe read more of the books, I would have more of a language to be able to describe exactly how I feel. But anyways, that's the visuals. The second thing is that they are just so fascinating. They cover such a wide array of topics. It's actually mind-boggling. So my favourite book that we'll be going through in a minute is called Ecclesiastical Art in Germany During the Middle Ages. It's just so cool. The one underneath here that we'll go through next time is The Popular Educator. And this is one of a series of books called The Popular Educator. And these are kind of like old school homeschooling books. And so they have just it's like an education course within a singular book. And so you've got mathematics, algebra, you've got different languages. And then you can see a snapshot into what life used to be like back in the day. And so in this book that we go through next time, you can see the languages that they studied. You can see the ways that they communicated about various topics in history. You can see the historic events that were important to them at the time. And it's just so cool because it connects you to people in the past in such a quiet and calm way, and such a personalised way to you, because it feels like you're the only person having this glimpse into the past right now. Whereas if you watch a documentary about history, you're like, I'm just one of many people who have undoubtedly watched this documentary and have got the same information presented to them in the same way. But there's just something that feels so unique about the experience of opening up an old book and reading it and getting that information of the past for your very self. And especially some of the science books, their science was just so different to the understanding of science that we have today. And so that's also really cool to just see how they even conceptualized how the world works back in day. Opens your mind up to history, which I love. Connects you to the past as well. And aside from that, you just always feel like you're holding a really rare treasure, because I always say this, but I'm like, guys, they made this before they had computers. And if you think about how long it takes to compile a book, even today with a computer, I mean, I've never done that. Maybe I will one day, but it takes so long. I know it takes so long, and it takes a massive team of people. And so that's with the help of these machines that make everything better, even though the outcomes of the books are so much more boring. But this was done before they had computers, which means that everything was done by hand and machinery. And just okay, I'm not even gonna, is there a page without pictures? Okay, so the other thing about my particular taste in old books is that I love them because of the pictures. That's why I haven't read most of them, is because I love picture books. Even in modern books, I'm like, where are the pictures at though? And so this book is just completely beautifully strewn with the most gorgeous engravings that you'll ever see in your life. And so I'm going to share them with you today. And so this swiftly takes us on to the next part of the video, which is Old Book Tour of Ecclesiastical Art in Germany During the Middle Ages by Dr. Willem Lübke. And this was published by Thomas C. Jack, Edinburgh. So we open up, I think I got this book, I got this book when I was in university in the Midlands. And so, the Midlands are great because there are so many just old random towns there, and they all have, some of them have random little bookshops. I can't remember where the specific one that I would go to was called, but if I remember it, I'll talk about it sometime here because it was so cute. But anyways, this is Ecclesiastical Art in Germany in the Middle Ages. It has been sold many a times, as you can tell by various price tags that have, and I think it was in the library at one point because it's got a library categorization as well. But I probably had this in my possession for about 5 or 6 years now, and I've loved it since day one, even though at the beginning when I got this book I was not yet a Christian, and so ecclesiastical art shouldn't have really meant anything to me, and yet it did the whole time because God was in my heart the entire time. I just didn't know it. And also, you can't smell, but if there was smell-o-vision, you'd be able to smell just the years of shelves, the years of, I can smell the bookshop that I got this in, and just its family that it's been sitting among for many, many years before it came into my hands. It still has traces of that, just like if I spend time with my boyfriend, I come back home and I smell like him, and I'm like, this guy smells of its brothers and sisters. That's so fun. Okay, so look how tiny this text is. Printed by Ballantyne and Company, Edinburgh and London. They just know how to open with incredible art. So this is before we even start. This book is basically full of engravings of ecclesiastical art. And I love these engravings so much because they're just, first of all, they're gorgeous. Secondly, they're kind of comical sometimes. I won't go through every single page, obviously, don't worry, but I just need to show you the level of detail that's in this book. And so we start here, we're like, wow, that must be an impressive image to look at. And then you zoom in, and then you zoom in, and then you zoom in, and you see just so ridiculously much detail. And it's crazy to me that they managed to figure this out. And how did they print this back in the day? This was printed, okay, when was this printed? Ecclesiastical art. First of all, also look at the old letterings that they have to begin all of their titles with here, which is just gorgeous. They understand presentation so well. Just the balance of the pages was just gorgeous. In the way that modern graphic design kind of tries to break the mold, breaks symmetry, harmony, simplicity. Although it goes back into simplicity, but it just, I don't know, it can be quite random sometimes, and it's oh, that's really good graphic design. And I'm I see there's something good about it, but for me, the way that God strung up my heartstrings was to be resonated by stuff like this. University of Kiel is slightly embossed in the page here, which also is a very classy way of marking your books, University of Kiel, back in the day. I appreciate you for that. It's much better than just sticking a random sticker on it. Okay, so it says 1876. I think that means that is when this book was printed, which is crazy. Look at the Gothic print saying it's illustrated with 184 engravings. Okay, so now we just think about even the amount of time for one craftsman to go into designing this engraving, then the process of actually turning it into engravings, then printing out however many copies of these, binding it all together. Just beautiful. And so this book basically goes through, let me just show you. Obviously, it's ecclesiastical art in Germany in the Middle Ages. And it illustrates and highlights just really key architectural examples of ecclesiastical art in churches around Germany. And so it also talks about, it just educates you at the same time. So we've got first part, history of architecture, early Christian basilicas, the Byzantine style, the Romanesque style, including basilicas, deviating forms, vault buildings, then the transition period, then the Gothic style, the system, first epoch, second epoch, third epoch, then German brick building, and then arrangement of monasteries in the Middle Ages. I'm like, this is just such niche information right now, guys. And I just love finding niche information in a world where the mind of the individual is being homogenized by social media. And I find that not like it is what it is, but I just reject that for myself personally. And so finding information, I'm like, who on earth else right now is learning about stuff like this? Not that I'm reading these books and going into detail about it, but sometimes I do, and I get random facts, and then my boyfriend sometimes is like, how do you just know like this random decorative style? And I'm like, random old books that no one else has. Actually, if someone else in the world does have a copy of one of these, I would love to meet them, because I just feel like we get along so well. Okay, second part, church furniture, the altar. So now we're going into like interior ecclesiastical art, which is so cool, because, you know, you get books that will specialize in exterior architecture, then you get books that are interior architecture. But this is just focusing on ecclesiastical art, and so they can play outside and inside, which is great. So we've got altar furniture, chalices, patens, ciboriums, pyxes, monstrances, liturgical boxes and other furniture and vessels, crosses and reliquaries, crosses and crucifixes, relic holders and reliquaries, chandeliers, candlesticks, sconces, fonts, springs, monuments, screens, pulpits, organs, stalls, shrines, painted and sculpted decoration, miscellaneous, including Easter, sepulchres, clocks, sounding vessels, doors, bells, groups representing the Passion and churchyard lights, which is great. And then we've got a list of engravings here, which gives examples of things and also specifically their locations. And I'm like, wow, we could go on like a whole tour of Europe and Germany and follow and find these snapshots and the surviving remnants of whatever the engraver originally saw, which is so cool. Just so cool. Okay, then we go into the history and we just learn about the history. And obviously it gives you lots of examples of different things. This is Constantinople, a church. This probably doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, definitely doesn't exist. It's an artist rendition. This is also the treat of these books is that you open them up sometimes and you find little just relics from the past. And so sometimes you'll have random snippings from newspapers with people's handwriting in it. This looks almost like, I don't know, like a library sign-out card? I don't know. And then someone's written something. Second row, so don't know. They must have known what they were doing. But yeah, we've got more engravings. Here we've got different language to be able to understand what you're seeing when you go into a church. But these are the diagrams that I love so much. In fact, let me just open my curtain and compromise the lighting of this. Let there be light so you can see how beautiful these engravings are. You see that? I mean, I just love ecclesiastical art, and so seeing this, it just looks so modern because it's a line drawing, and yet it's so old in so many ways. There's just so many segments to this that I wish I could just point out to you, so I'm just going to keep showing it to you until I feel like you've got a chance to see it all. Okay, there we go. You can pause if you need some more time. And so, there's just so much. There's just so much to show you. I can't. This book is so full of such good stuff. Oh my gosh, maybe I need to like take photos of them because I can't possibly show you all the good diagrams. See, I'm like, okay, cute text. Thank you so much for trying to teach me, but like the pictures, I just love them so much. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave this there. I'm gonna think about if there's a way for me to even get to show you even more of the images in here. In fact, I know that this is on the Internet Archive, so I can just even put a PDF here, but that's not the point. Okay, whatever. I'm thinking about how to do this series still, but this is my favourite book. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in tomorrow for another video. It won't be another book tour. I'll probably do 1 or 2 of these a week. And we're going to be going through Castell's Popular Educator, like I mentioned earlier in the video, and it's just so cool. I've actually spent a lot of time in that book, I can't lie. And so I probably read more of that book than I have any other old book. I'll fact check myself on that, but no one can prove it. Anyways, that was ecclesiastical art in Germany in the Middle Ages. If I discover more things, I shall go back into it and I'll show you again another time, but that's why I love old books. This is my favourite old book, and I've been Kat. I'm still Kat, and I will be Kat, and I love you. Thanks for joining. Subscribe for more. Lots of love. God bless you, and peace be with you.